So this two-tier, it's not actually what it seems in terms of that the top tier here is actually a dummy, a cake dummy, which is basically just a polystyrene shape cut to, you can get them cut to so many different shapes, but these are commonly used, you know, with big celebration cakes where you want to add tiers, add height, add extra pizzazz to a cake without having to actually use real cake. For instance, if you're having a smaller party and you don't want to waste the cake, but you still want that extra wow factor, then dummies are fabulous for this. As I say, wedding cake makers use them a hell of a lot to add height, and they come in all different shapes as well. You can get them custom cut. So basically this one, the top tier, is a polystyrene dummy, and all I've done is covered it and decorated it the exact same way as I would an ordinary cake. So this base tier is it's 8-inch round and stands about 8 inches tall, and that's the real cake. And then this, so instead of cutting it, stacking it, filling it, ganaching it, crumb coating it, all that, you just cut all that out. And then what I've done is I've covered it in piping gel, and then just covered it with fondant exactly the same way as I said as I would a normal cake, and then decorated it, etc, etc. Just adds that wow factor, but with not having to waste cake if you don't have the mouths to feed. So this two-tier is for a very special first birthday. As my 8 inches, my rounds are quite tall, this was plenty enough cake for the guests, but she did state she wanted the wow factor, and I hope I've given it her with this cake. It is mega. So we've got all the way around the bottom. I've just done a small ruffle detail. I love doing ruffles, so therapeutic. Take hours, but you know, you can add ruffles just in one single row, a few rows, you know, on the middle. You can add them anywhere. They're so versatile, but they do take a long time, so you have to have a lot of patience. And all you do to make ruffles is, again, details. I found the details of how to make ruffles in a extended YouTube video on somebody else's page, because I don't really go into detail, and it's just very, very thinly rolled out fondant. I had a little bit of Tylose powder just to keep its structure. You can use any shape cutter you want, which will then give you a different ruffle outcome, but this one's just a circle one, so a mini circle cutter. Cut out some little circles in fondant, sort of scrunch them up a bit and stick them on. It's not quite as easy as I've just made it sound, but as I say, if you have a look on YouTube, you'll find some really good in-depth tutorials on them. So this topper and this horse and carriage, it's just a little sweet favour wedding cake, wedding favour guest thing, you know what I'm trying to say. It was just a mini one of those. When it came, it was very plain, and as we wanted the wow factor for this cake, all the white bits on this are everything I've added in icing. You can't really tell the size of this, but it's about 4.5 inches long, so it's not very big to work on. So I had to get my super concentrated head on when I was doing this, because working with tiny little details is not usually my strong point. But I've managed to sort of jazz the horse and carriage up a little bit. I've then sat it on a little cake drum, just to sort of, again, you could have just had it sat on top of the cake, but I think having it on that drum just, you know, again adds that wow factor. Popped a bit of ribbon around it, a bit of matching pink ribbon, matched these little details to these. As you can see, I've used a lot of mould work in this one. So the horses were a mould, the beads were a mould, the drapes were a mould. It could all be done by hand, but why stress doing it by hand when there are millions of moulds out there? I do love a mould. So yeah, pinks, whites, and this sort of rich gold colour for this one. It's gorgeous, isn't it? It really is something a little bit special, this one. Pretty, very elegant, very girly, very grand. So there we are. Happy first birthday to a very lucky little 1-year-old.